Tuesday, and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. I'm Mary Morton, and along with my buddy Chad Fellers, we have casual talk about the challenges and successes in medical affairs with the most exciting and impactful professionals in pharma. As always, we have another great one for you today, so stick around.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles. I am your host, Chad Fellers, along with my nifty sidekick, Mary the Marvelous Morton. How are you, Mary?
I'm terrific, as always. How are you?
As always, I'm doing pretty good, surviving this major heat wave that we've had here. I guess it's the South, right? So it's summertime, so it should be hot, but 90-something degrees. It's with humidity is pretty rough. How about you?
Is that your complaint?
We always have something to.
Both of your home offices are in Boston. Have you talked to somebody in Boston today who told you it's 105?
Yes,
in Boston today?
Actually I have, and it was pretty dramatic. I think hearing them talk about that. So anyway, I think it's weird, right? I mean, I think we've gotten a lot of cold weather down in the South, which I've always said, why would I? If I wanted cold weather, I'd live in the Northeast. But I live in the South for a reason, right? So I guess it could be the same from their perspective too, right? It shouldn't be as hot there as well, but it's brutal. But I guess it's not as brutal as I guess it's about perspective, right? So
I'm used to it being hot.
Anyway,
I live in Southern California, so I'm used to it being nice and hot.
I know.
And
I
you also have the beach; it offsets it.
That's right. So, that's right. All we have pond water and all that kind of stuff here, and
that's what they drink and bathe in up there in Arkansas.
And Dog Patch. Oh my gosh, Mary, the banter has already started.
Dog Patch too.
I did. So there is value.
I usually call it Dog Patch.
There is value, right, to be able to work remotely, right? So I think that's actually a good segue to what we're going to be talking about today. The importance of, especially from a team perspective, how do you really prioritize connection, bonding? And I can't wait to talk with one of my great friends, colleagues, buddies, however you want to define it, right? Sarica Klein. And with that, Mary, why don't you give a little background about Sarica before we get going?
I would love to. So today's victim, guest, is Sarica Klein. She spent nearly 2 decades in pharma. She got her PharmD from USC. I think you got some USC swag there. Do you want to show that off?
There we go. We're
going to talk about USC in a minute. There you go. We're going to talk about USC in a minute. And this California girl is probably the only one left in California that has not moved into my backyard of Austin, Texas.
That's true. That's true.
So Sarica in her career has tackled like everything in medical affairs that they've had to throw at her. She's done home office roles. She's been in MSL. She's led MSL teams on a regional and now national basis. And leading strategy, and something probably Chad does not know, like I haven't mentioned this yet, is that Sarica and I actually go way back. I placed her somewhere, and I'm trying to remember how long ago it was.
It's been a minute. Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, and that company got acquired like right after we placed you there. Sorry about that. I didn't know.
No, it actually worked out really well. It's part of the industry game anyway. So, yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah. So Sarica is currently the national director of field medical with Biogen, where she leads a team of MSLs with intention. She's also a proud wife and mom to a couple young kids. And she still calls LA home outside of her current leadership role. She feels very strongly about giving back, and she's very passionate about supporting and mentoring other people who are in the midst of their career evolution, whether it's mentoring pharmacy students at USC or other people within industry as well. Not only that, she is always working to grow herself as a leader, as a parent, as a human being, as a wife. So much to talk about today. So welcome to the show. How you doing, Sarica?
I'm great. It's so wonderful to be here with the both of you. Like you said, I go way back with both of you, and I'm really thrilled that you guys invited me to be on the show.
As is customary, I will say, we'll see how thrilled you're about to be, because I'm going to ask you a couple of these rapid fire hot seat questions.
All right,
But before that, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out, Mary, you've not placed me anywhere, and yet we have a podcast together. And so I just
with this again.
Yeah, I'm very happy where I am now, to be clear. I'm not looking for anything, but I am a little bit upset that we still have not been able to partner there. Well, maybe one day. Anyway, nevertheless.
Maybe one day. But to be fair, you keep working at my clients, and I can't recruit from my clients ethically.
That's fair. That's
no
fair.
recruiter should do that, just, in case you guys know that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so hot seat questions. And we've been asking this one of all of our guests recently, and it's such a good question. I want to ask it to everybody. And that is, what would your walkout song be?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. I've actually thought about this. I have thought about this.
Yay.
So, Here I Go Again on My Own. Here I go again on my own.
Oh, Whitesnake.
Oh, wow.
Yes. No, yes,
that's my
exactly.
era.
Whitesnake. So I have always thought that song is so brilliant because of so many reasons. But, I feel like it makes me think I can do this. I can do this on my own. Like I have the power to be able to do anything. Like that's going to be my walkout song. Yep.
I have chills. I'm such a weirdo. I want to go and look at the lyrics, because
look at the lyrics. It's
going
such a
out
great
the only
song.
road I've ever known.
Yep. Down the
okay, yeah, I'm gonna check that one out. Okay, can you tell us something very few people or nobody knows about you that they would be surprised to learn?
What would they be? Okay. I have a few things that people just probably don't know.
Okay.
One is I'm an only child. So I think some people are surprised to hear that because hopefully they think I'm not spoiled. So, and not that every only child is. I'm just saying I had a lot of love, and I was very happy to be an only child, but I really wanted a sibling and I never got one. So what I think that did for me, and I think that actually is going to be related to our topic later today, is that it really helps me understand how to build relationships with people, because I didn't have a sibling. So I felt like I had to forge relationships with other people around me. My cousins and I are very close. My neighbors growing up and I are very close. And it's all because, I craved that bonding feeling that I didn't have. So I think that really speaks volumes as to what we're going to talk about later today. The other one is I also own a matchmaking company. So some people, yes, some people find that very fun as a topic that they don't know about me. So we can always, Mary, you and I I know Chad already knew that, but Mary, you and I can talk about that.
That is so neat.
Again, the relationship building,
and she is
about that.
all of that.
And there's one other that probably ties into today that she has not mentioned. She is a game show fanatic as well too. Yeah. She was actually on Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
I was on Let's Make a Deal.
That's not the only one too. She's been
right.
She's
I've been on
25
Words or Less. I was gonna be on another one, but they kind of got canceled. So yeah, it's been fun. Of course, I've never won anything, but
25 words. Yeah. That 25 words or less is so cool.
It's a fun game, and you get to be paired with, famous people. So I was paired with some good ones, and it was really fun.
Mary, there's no way you could do something in 25 words or less. So anyway, That's amazing. Yeah, I'm hoping she can get us on Family Feud, like maybe field, like some kind of field team type of thing.
I know every time I talk to Chad, he's like, when's our game show?
So
We're
now
down.
like all of our buddies know all this cool stuff about Sarica, and there's so much more to learn.
Yay.
Maybe now we move over into getting down to business, Chad.
Yeah, let's do it. So, Sarika, one of the things, as you may well know, we like to empower our listeners at the very beginning, right? The key takeaways around what they can just walk away with from the conversation that we have today. And so, with that, do you have a couple you want to share with with our listeners?
Yeah, I think two really key points that I hope people take away from today's, session is the first one is a cohesive team is a winning team. It is a successful team. So I think that really is what I want people to take away from. Like, there's a reason that team bonding isn't just going out to dinner and, being kumbaya. It's really a really important thing to have a tight team that supports one another. And I think the other is that really comes from a leader who's just as supportive and transparent with the team as they want to be with each other. So I think it comes from a leader that is supportive, as I mentioned, transparent, and really fosters positive attitudes and motivation with the team. So we'll talk about ways to do that, though, later.
Love it. Yes. Sarika, love the takeaways that you just shared, and I can just tell our listeners what you see with Sarika and what she says is what you get. So these things that she truly puts into action, you can ask any of her current team members or former, right? So she truly serves alongside them and makes them better, and that's her priority. And you'll see and hear that theme today. So let's get into this. So the importance of team bonding. So let's just start at a very elementary level. So why is team bonding important, and in particular for field teams, for remote teams, for MSL teams? We'll even say as specific as that.
Right. I think it's most important for MSL teams or field teams because we feel very siloed in our roles. As you know, you've been there, you've done this role. It really, you can get lost in just what you're doing day to day and not feel supported, not feel any connection to the company, not feel like you have a home. And your work family should be that. It should be a family. It should be a home. You should feel supported in what you do. And so it's so important to be a cohesive team when you don't get a chance to see each other every day. So I think that's the importance of it, and how we go about doing it. I'm sure you're going to ask me later.
Yeah, I think so. It's really interesting, even just thinking through this, what you mentioned about that's the biggest challenge that I see within industry with as a rule is we function as project management in ways, and it's very isolated between whether medical director does this, clinical research does this. And it's all about how do I get a project from A to B, and you lose sight of we are all an extension, like field medical is an extension of medical affairs. And so the importance of not only bonding, I think from the team perspective, but then even across teams as well too, and how connecting them with others as well. But having that linchpin of being able to function as a group is so important. So what are well, I definitely have my thoughts on some of these things, and I've expressed them before. But the risk, or what's the risk or challenges if that's not in place,
Yeah.
particularly in these remote teams?
Loss of motivation, loss of dedication to the role. There's just, if you don't know, if you don't hear from other people, you don't have someone to share something with, if you don't have the support of, am I doing this right? Am I not doing this right? Was this a good thing that happened to me today or not? If you don't have that support system to really share with and tell you what you're doing, or how you're doing it, I mean, you could lose that motivation really quickly.
I think that's one of the biggest things. It's about impact, right? I think the quality of teammates that you look for, the quality that I look for, are really driven people that want to come in, shape the market, impact for patient care, really move the needle, those types of things, and want to ensure that they're bringing value. And if you don't have those types of, if you don't have the venue to be able to have that type of connection, or even where you're struggling to be able to do that, I think that that's certainly uh, exposes opportunities for things to go wrong in many different ways, and job satisfaction to completely plummet. So fully align with that thought.
Yeah, job satisfaction is another really big one. One of the things that I know is, and it's not just siloing ourselves that we normally feel like we're siloed, but it's also, what if you're in a team that is actually negatively supporting each other and not being supportive, and there's no team, cohesiveness there? That's actually can have the same effect that we just talked about as being alone. So we don't want that to happen either.
I was actually just about to ask about that because you know, I have a couple of clients. We talk about some of these things, and they're talking about how there's one person on the team or a couple of people on the team that they're just maybe inherently a whiner or a complainer, or when something goes wrong, and when they need somebody to lean on for support, they don't go to their teammate in a positive way. They just want to complain, and that can drag people down rather than say, I need some support. I need you to tell me it's going to be okay. Yeah. I mean, because this is a relationship driven job. But some people, they don't want to be told it's okay. It's going to be okay. They just want to complain. Like, what can you do to try to prevent that sort of vibe on your team?
Such a great question. I think knowing that person, that one particular individual, then this has happened to me before. This one particular individual needs to be known more in depth by the team. So something about them is not going right. They're very negative. They're very unhappy about something. But if the team understands that, there's something going on, they're struggling with something, they're whatever they're willing to share, it's that bonding that makes them understand that person all the more. And then the responsibility, I think, falls on the coach. So the manager, to kind of call that person out and say, hey, in a nice way, I don't know if you realize that you're coming across in this way. I actually had to do that with someone on my team once, and they were that negative Nancy. And I said, I don't know if you realize that you're coming across and you say no all the time, and you're not a team player in that sense. I didn't really use those words, but I just said, this is how you're being perceived. And once she saw that, she said, I didn't know that that's how I'm being perceived. Thank you for letting me know. And she shifted completely. It was a great shift.
That's amazing. And that's such a diplomatic way to handle it too, because sometimes that person, that may just be who they are, and there's going to be no change in them. Or it could be this person that was just not self-aware enough.
Exactly.
But the words that you chose and everything were so disarming. And it's stuff that Chad talks about all the time, is like, if you're going to have a difficult conversation with one of your employees, if you, what are the words that you use? I know I should hang on every word, but
yes, every single
say? Word. But it's just a really disarming way of approaching a challenging employee situation.
Yeah, I think asking for permission to number one, it disarms any kind of defensiveness. So hey, I notice. Can I share something? Just some feedback. In letting them invite you into that process, I think is just a great way to offer that in a way that can be received, where the first response is not, well, it's because of this or because of that, right? So it automatically puts you in a solution mode versus a defense mode. So,
Yeah,
yep.
I
I had
think
to write
that's
that
really,
down. Put you
really
into
telling.
solution mode.
Solution mode is key because this, when I approached this person and I said, this is how you're perceived rather than this is what you're doing. You are this, you are negative. This is how people are perceiving you. You can't argue with that. This is how people are seeing you. And I know you don't mean to be this way, or come off this way. So yeah, I think that was something that really resonated with her.
Yeah, I love that. So when you're like trying to build this cohesiveness in the team, you do you have any sort of tricks of the trade that that you tend to utilize to try to form some of those relationships or nurture those relationships between
Yeah.
between the people that you have out in the field so they do feel connected?
Yes, absolutely. I have my own one-on-one conversations with my team on a weekly basis, but it's really important to get everyone together. So I on another weekly basis have a team meeting, and in the team meeting, usually if there's time, hopefully we make the time for this. We go around and we do a share with me something good that happened this week. And it could be about work. It could not be about work. It could be about something that happened in their territory. It could have nothing to do with that at all. I moved homes. Something exciting. And I think that really helps the team feel connected. Also, it helps share best practices. It helps people understand what they're doing or what someone's doing in one territory. And then a whole conversation just ensues from this. And it is really exciting. I also really encourage my team to have monthly meetings without any management there. So my MSLs have what's called think tank meetings, where one Thursday a month, actually, I think they might have increased the frequency at this point. So these think tank meetings are without me, but there's an anonymous voice so that one MSL is responsible for collecting all of the information provided, or if there's a complaint, or if there's, hey, are we going to hear about this or whatever? And it doesn't come from one individual. It comes from the one person who's anonymously collecting the feedback and sends it to me. So I think that's really empowering because it gets them together again and then have the ability to kind of talk amongst themselves and feel good about that and talk more about best practices again.
That is fantastic. Some of I talk to some people who, because I'm in the hiring business, so I talk to people who don't like their managers, and then managers that I talk to that I don't think they're probably great managers either. And so you've got the spectrum of I'm all about team bonding and making sure everybody loves each other, and then the other spectrum is like we don't have time for any of this team bonding stuff. They got to get to work. So like, how do you find the balance?
Amazing question.
Because it's got to be both.
Yeah, it definitely has to be both. You have to have, what are you in your metrics and where are you in the, all of this kind of stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think this has to be a priority. So we always are so busy, so busy. But I'll tell you another quick thing that I did. You can combine work with some team bonding. And so I've introduced, actually I haven't started it yet, but I just introduced the concept to the team. And so it's going to be the first one on July 3rd, but we're doing meetings in motion. And what that is once a month, our team meetings will be where you have to move around. You have to be outside walking or on a treadmill or pacing in your room. Yeah, Heart, I love it.
Chad likes that one.
A walk and talk. I love it.
Walk and
Oh, I
talk.
like that. Walk and talk. And so we're calling it meetings in motion. And, they can be on camera if they're comfortable when they're walking. And if not, they can be off camera for this time. And it really, even though that's not a bonding experience per se, as far as like we're sharing things and that type of stuff, it's still a bonding experience because we're getting out and doing things that are good for our mental health and good for, who we are as an individual. And that helps us all be better as a team.
I think it demonstrates leadership cares about their employees as a whole person.
Yeah.
And not just what have you done for me lately. So
Thank
I love
you.
that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's more about who we are versus what we do. And I think if people realize that you care and truly invested in them, I think that there's so many benefits from it. It's number one, satisfaction, productivity, going the extra mile. It's not done in a manipulative way, but I think people just value connection, whether they
Yeah.
can articulate it well or not. I was thinking about back to the strategies or activities to do. That's some of these are great examples I haven't really thought of before. I think one of the ones that I'll share that we recently implemented on our U.S. Medical Affairs meeting call is having a section that is, so I think I put up a slide that has an open mic, and it really is more about where the way it's set up is, can you share? I can't wait for the team to share experiences of how other teammates have impacted things from a positive standpoint, right? So it's, instead of this idea of look what I did, look what I accomplished, and setting that apart, it really is shifting the focus of, hey, let's recognize some great teamwork that's being done. And so then all of a sudden you start saying, wait a minute, okay, wow. So this is the mindset, is how can I serve others?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the recognition come from, and the satisfaction too, right? I mean, it's about controlling what you can control. So we have this, and it's been really well received. So just another way that you can help try to drive that team centricity.
I love that little nugget
Yeah, that's
of
great.
information. That's great. I'm gonna use that.
Well, I actually had a question planned to ask you about virtual team building, but I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of you jumped ahead and gave me a great example, and then Chad, you gave a great example too. So I'm gonna step back and let Chad talk a little bit.
So thinking about you specifically as a leader. So how do you as a leader model and encourage this culture? Because that's what we're talking about, right? A culture of connection and collaboration remotely. I know you gave one example about having the calls that are outside, that don't outside of management being a part of it or leadership being a part of it. But are there other ways that you can help set that tone?
Yes, I think it's having a fostering openness in the team. And in order for them to be open with each other, I think they have to feel like they can be open. And that starts with me. So I need to be open with them. I've talked about transparency earlier on in this call, and transparency is just key, key, key. It has to be where they feel, the team feels like you're not hiding anything. You're really open. You have their back. You're supporting them. You elevate them when you can to, leadership. And therefore they will then want to talk to each other and support each other because you're modeling it.
Do you yeah, I've often found um thinking through the idea of being vulnerable when
Yeah.
things are challenging and you don't know the solution. And I think just being transparent in that way is one of those things of, hey, I don't have to be perfect in front of my leader. I don't have
Yeah.
to. There is a freedom to fail at certain ideas. There's freedom to bring forward ideas, knowing that this person doesn't know it all and doesn't admit or doesn't pretend that I know he or she doesn't know it all first, but they don't pretend to know it all as well too, and they're open to that. So
You're
yeah, the
absolutely.
more we can do that, I think
Yeah.
the benefits. I mean, we all grow, right? So
Well, I think that's something I've
yeah.
learned and matured over the years, and in this role, in this job, because I used to feel like I had to have the answer for everything, right? And especially as an MSL, well, that's what you're supposed to have, the answers. You're supposed to be the resource of information. But we all learned along the way that if you don't have the correct answer, you're not supposed to make something up. You're not supposed to say the wrong thing. And so I've learned that in this role as well. If I don't have the answer, you got to admit that you don't have the answer, and you'll do your best to figure it out and find out and let them know. And that's key. Follow up is following up with the team and making sure that you say that you've looked into it. Here's the answer, or you couldn't find an answer type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or even inviting them into the solution, right? I mean, what are some
Right.
ideas
Right.
that you have as well too? As I'm thinking through, I'd love to hear your perspective on this to make sure I'm thinking about this from all different levels as well. Again, the more we can allow buy-in and acceptance of those types of ideas, because we got some smart people that work with us. I
We
mean,
really do.
there's no doubt about it. So how can we leverage that? I think this ties into one of our responsibilities in a leadership role too, is to raise up other leaders, and by doing these things, giving them opportunities, showing that you don't have the answers, inviting them into the solution making mode, helping them see those perspectives, actually grow them in ways that they wouldn't ever have that opportunity. That's kind of like the whole pretense of MSLead Chronicles, is to help close that gap of learning how to be a leader, right? So there's so many benefits to what you're doing, the culture of connection, being vulnerable and transparent, pay dividends beyond just the current role that you're in. It truly is an investment into people as well too.
Well, I think you're absolutely correct on that, Chad. I really feel like as a leader, hopefully your listeners have leaders that provide that opportunity for them to be part of the solution. And if they don't, maybe your listeners could be proactive and ask to be part of the solution. So we have a couple folks on our team on my team, that I really value. I value everybody's opinion on my team, because like you said, we have really smart people around us, and they are all part of, hey, you would be really great at working with our psychoms team. Why don't you be our liaison and be part of that, strategy and that information, and then they feel very valued and useful, and their voices are being heard, and that fosters a lot of team bonding too. So I've really opened up the door, I think, for a lot of people to have some opportunities to work on AdWords, to work on some really big opportunities with our alliance teams and things, because we work in an alliance where I work. Yeah, so it's so important to have them be part of the solution, Chad. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and I would just add in, we had an episode, I guess it was last year, we were talking about, developing a culture of psychological safety. And a lot of the examples that you've given so far, and I'm sure there's more, which I hope you will share, sound like that is like the premise of how you are sort of setting the stage for your team. I mean, allowing them, being comfortable with, vulnerable even, with saying, you guys meet without me. Because that could go south.
Yeah.
With a couple of MSL directors that I know, if they allowed their teams to anyway. But that's incredibly humbling, to put yourself in that situation. But where do you see psychological safety playing its role in team bonding, and how do you go about cultivating that?
Yeah, it's of utmost importance. Everyone has to feel safe, to be able to be part of something, be part of anything, and to be vulnerable, that we talked about earlier. And therefore, I am vulnerable when I speak to my team. I'm very vulnerable. I've actually talked a lot about personal, and if you're not comfortable talking about personal stuff, that's fine. But just, if I open up to my team, hopefully that fosters an environment in which they feel the same, that they can be open as well. And one thing I was going to mention is, you mentioned psychological safety in general, and not only being open is one, but it's hard. It's something I'm very emotional and very passionate about, because, I also work in psychiatry, neuropsychiatry, right? So that's where I work, and I see this every day, about folks that really need support. And if we want to be empathetic towards the patients that we serve, then we need to be able to be open ourselves. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it's walking the walk right there.
Walking the talk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I'll be open, and I'll be open here. The company actually asked for World Mental Health Day, if there was anyone that, which was in May, wanted to talk on a panel. And I volunteered to talk on the panel, and I opened up about some of the experiences that I've had with mental health. It was what an experience. What an experience. It was incredible. And my team came in full force to support and watch that telecast that they did. It was worldwide telecast. It was amazing. And I got to be on it and be open and talk about some of, my personal struggles. And it's amazing to have not only show and be vulnerable, but to have the support of my team as well. That, means that I've hopefully helped foster that team building, bonding, and psychological safety that you're mentioning.
Absolutely. Psychological safety right there. And and a lot of the examples you've given I keep writing down: leading by example, showing them I can be vulnerable, showing them I'm comfortable. And I'm,
it's so true.
I love all of these examples. I got chills.
So, all this echoes servant leadership, right? And we think about some of the tenets around, which everybody knows. I think that's one of the things I'm really big on. I think that concept can really, it's a thing that we can control, right? When so many things that are outside of our control, how do we serve others? One of the components is assuming positive intent. And the reason why I bring that up is because the more transparent, vulnerable you are with that, the more people will assume positive intent when things come down that may be misinterpreted, an email, a text, frustration, challenges. The anchor point is, wait a minute, I know this person, I know their leadership style, I know who they are to their core. This will allow me to be able to better understand what's going on with this, because this doesn't seem like this doesn't seem like this doesn't seem like the person that I've known, right? So there's again, it's it really is crucial.
That's really important, especially in this generation of people who don't talk on the phone.
Right.
They'll text or they'll email, and if you could, however you infer what somebody has written, if you assume positive intent, then you don't naturally think that they mean something other than what they actually meant.
I would love to tell you so I have been also the subject of team bonding and team building. So I have an amazing, superb manager. So I know, Chad, you know who I'm talking about, but she is an absolutely outstanding and amazing. And so she has a way to bring in a very virtual team also, not everyone works in the home office, together and talk about servant leadership. At the end of every one-on-one, she closes the conversation by saying, what can I do to help make your life easier? What can I do to help you? And I think that is incredible. And not only that, she starts every meeting with something called leader's intent. Well, this is what I intend to get from you guys today. This is what I intend to tell you. So no one's not clear on what the purpose is. And then at the end of every meeting, there's an after action review. Did we do what we said we were going to do? Do you understand what we did that we said we were going to do? Do you know your follow-ups? It is outstanding. And our team, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to leave, because she makes it such a cohesive, amazing team. So I'm also the subject of, being a part of a really amazing team that has been fostered by my leader. So I wanted to share that story with you.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's that ties that. So by doing what you just described, it really ties the question that Mary asked earlier about how do you balance the need for productivity and the time investment required for team bonding, right? The way the tone of the meeting is set up, what they can expect, and then always. And that's how I used to close with my team. What do you need from me, and what can I do to make your job better? Right. So always asking that, and that's so good. That's a great way to structure a meeting. I love that.
Yeah, I look forward to our meetings with her for that very reason.
So, okay, we have talked about all these ideas. We've talked about all the ways we've implemented things, all of our experiences. So let's shift it to our favorite thing in the field about metrics, right? So the M word, right? So how do you measure the success or impact of your team bonding efforts? I mean, are
So,
there certain indicators that you look for?
That's a good question.
it's more, I wouldn't say it's a group indicator. It's more of when I have my conversations with them, how are they feeling? How are they doing? We have something here at Biogen called Thrive Conversations. Chad, you might remember those. I just had a few with my team. Thrive Conversations really just are an opportunity for them to tell you what they need from you, what development opportunities they want to have. And if they really can't think of a ton of areas, like, all of them tell me something where they'd like to develop, and but if there's not like this is where I think you can improve, Sarica, this is where I think we need work done, this is where I think, if there's not a ton of that, then I think we've succeeded. I know that impact as far as metrics are concerned is huge. Also, I think it really elevates people to achieve their metrics when they feel that there's team bonding, because I know my team has their own chat thread, their own everything that's going on, so that they can support each other on, well, hey, I couldn't get this guy to this, doctor to respond to me. And then some more experienced MSL might say, well, have you tried this? And have you done that? Yeah. And so I think in a way, if they're meeting their metrics, that is an indicator of team building and team bonding and team support. If the whole team as a whole is doing that. So that's one, but I think ultimately, though, it's my individual conversations with them to see how they're truly feeling. And if they're feeling supported and they're feeling good, then I think I've done a good job.
I think that that's great. I think also just even from there's short term and there's long term KPIs. I guess you can look at it, like how team retention as well too, right? Job satisfaction, right?
I am so proud to say that 2 people last year on my team, well, actually 3 people on my team got promoted last year, and then another two got within the team, and then another 2 got promoted into different areas within the company into like a home office role. I mean, the fact that that happened, you're absolutely right. They haven't left the company. They haven't gone anywhere. They've only wanted to stay at the company, and they were elevated. I love the word elevate if you can't tell. They were elevated to another role that they wanted. They were developed. They were developed where they wanted to be and to grow. So I think that's a really good measure, Chad. Really good measure.
That yeah, I think it reminds me of a team that I led a few years ago. Well, several years ago now. The company had massive turnover in every part of the organization, minus the MSL team. They did. I mean, we did not
Wow.
leave. We did not have one person leave over 3 to 4 years or so. They were promoted. Some of them were promoted, but some of them were, I mean, just happy because it was the bubble that they were in was such an amazing group. They didn't have any reason to entertain other ideas as well too, because they were getting all of those components. Not necessarily. It's our job as leaders is not to do these things. It's to foster and create an environment for these things to happen as well too. Yes, we set the tone, but then we get out of the way and let them take the lead on this, right?
Yes,
so
I love that.
So anyway, all right. So this is we're coming up on the end of our time, unfortunately.
I know. I love talking to you guys.
So this is kind of thinking about the future, right? This is kind of my brain works. Like, are there any type of wait, Mary, you're about to say something. Thank you for closing your mouth. Are there any type?
So you're like, this is how my brain works. I'm like, oh, brother.
Are there any are there any tools or trends that you see you're excited about that could help enhance remote team engagement? I mean, it could be fun things. It could be use of AI. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, that's actually a really good point. I mean, so much of this world is now virtual. We just got back some data that shows that even all the healthcare providers that we work with, like 70% of them want to meet virtually, something along those lines. I don't remember the exact number. But what that means is you can easily search something online and say remote team building, and you get a list. So if you can't think of something yourself, check it out online. Actually, I'm really excited about some of the things that I've done, because I've kind of thought about some things that aren't on those lists. So I'll share with you one that I did.
Okay.
Yeah, if
Let's
I
say
may.
share one.
Yeah, share one. This was, I think, 2 Thanksgivings ago. So instead of doing a holiday thing, I did a Thanksgiving thing. And so what I did was I had everyone get paired up like a Thanksgiving buddy. So not like a Secret Santa, but like a Thanksgiving, I called it something like a Thanksgiving buddy or something. And I know. And they had to come up with a recipe that that represented that person. Whether it was something that they knew about that person that they'd gone out with before, they knew they loved this drink or this, thing, whatever it was. And then they had to email it to me. And then I put a recipe book together, and then we all got on a call and said, all right, who do you think this recipe is for? And the whole team had to guess, oh, I know that's so-and-so because they like, gravy so much and they always are obsessed with gravy, or, something. Whatever it is. But it was so much fun. And I even had our VP take part in that. And and then my gift for the holidays was a recipe book for everybody that we had all put together and made ourselves. So it was pretty cool. So
Oh,
I love that.
Yay. I'm so glad you liked that. It was really fun.
That's really good. I was thinking about, we've done something similar to where bringing you like YouTube. I would pull up YouTube music or whatever on our team calls, and have someone on the team send me what their song is on their playlist, and I would play it and then ask like who is this? Who is this from? Like who submitted this? So we've done those types of things. You get to know a little bit. It's a fun little icebreaker, as well as like, I
stole that one from him. I did that with my team.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I don't remember how well it went over, but
like, would you rather, like, we'll do those types of things to kick off meetings, or what are you going to do this summer, and have them really engage in a chat or chat box and those types of things, and you find some interesting answers and give them a chance to spotlight. I mean, you got to have fun, right? So I love the recipe idea, though.
Yeah, that was so much fun. And then I have to be honest, it is still important for us to get together in person. So I have at least one meeting a year where we all get together. And I'll tell you, when last year we were all together and I did a guacamole making contest. That was the most fun thing I've ever done. And the teams still talk about it to this day, where they actually had to get in little small teams, and I had someone come in and facilitate this, and you had to answer questions about avocados to get points. And then as they got more points, they got more ingredients that they could use in their guacamole. And then myself and my counterpart at my alliance company, we had to do a taste test, and then there was a winner, and it was hysterical. We had so much fun. Yeah.
What a wonderful Taco Tuesday to be having this conversation.
Right?
I guess we're going to have to head out to the Mexican restaurant over here for dinner tonight after having all these. I mean, like, oh, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I learned from you, Sarica. It's always, dude.
Well, right back at you.
So good.
Always learn from you.
The only thing that I can think of that we did halfway as cool as that is doing we had an ice bar out in Vegas. We had a team builder at, was it an ice bar? Is that what?
Yeah, I think it's called the ice bar.
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, you've got to do it, Sarica. It is amazing. They give you these. They gave me this big, brown fur coats to wear because it's freezing cold in there, and then everything's made of ice. So wow. It's a blast.
Amazing.
Yeah. In fact, that ice bar idea thing is such a big deal. That was in Vegas. There are now 3 of them in Las Vegas.
Oh wow!
Not just that one. I think there was at the Venetian. I think that you were at.
Oh.
Yeah, there's 3 of them now. So.
How fun!
Work hard, play hard, right?
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
But happy people are successful and productive people. It's common knowledge.
Yes.
So like you don't get
absolutely.
the most out of people by making them feel pressured and unhappy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got to feel pressure, I guess, in some regards, but yeah.
So Sarica, great conversation. Is there anything else that you feel you want to share before we wrap things up today?
I want to just put out an invitation to anyone that works with me, that anyone's ever worked with me, to open up, be honest, tell me anything that, they want to see, want to do, I think just being open and honest with each other is the way to build a good cohesive team. So this is an invitation to anyone that I work with now or in the future to always be open and honest with me. And I will promise to do the same. So happy people make happy jobs, and happy jobs make happy people. And, that just really makes a cohesive team. And I just hope everyone that I know is happy. Sunshine. We talk about sunshine awards at our work too. So we want to make more of those.
I want to add something that, because as I knew you before, I didn't know you as a leader. So this has been very, very eye-opening for me to get to see this side of you.
Thanks.
And when somebody is described as transparent and direct, for some reason that has a negative connotation. And I wanted to share something that a VP of Human Resources that I work with used to describe the president of their company, because I'm like, I love that because I think it's very diplomatic and it's fair and it's true. And she said, you have to lead by being direct with respect. And I feel like that's exactly, how I would describe all of the things that you've just said. And you, of course, too, Chad. I think you're direct with respect as well.
Thank you.
So I wanted to give a shout out on that one. But
very kind.
I love seeing this side of you.
All right, so I'll just close this. You want open, honest feedback? I am waiting for my invitation to go out on a game show with you. So I'm really going to be frustrated until this gets lined out. So if you would please prioritize that.
I'm writing it down. We're going to make it
your
happen.
time away or whatever that looks like.
With Chad.
Yes, write it down. I love it.
I want to be on the pyramid. So if you find out about the pyramid, I want to be on that.
That is a good one, actually. I want to get on that show too. So we'll have to work on that. Well, listen, I've had such a great time talking to you guys. You are both such wonderful people, and I love what you do with this podcast. And I hope it helps people. So I would invite anyone to reach out to me if they want any further information about what we've talked about today.
I don't know how to wrap it up any better than that. Sarica, thank you so much. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another casual conversation here at MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. We remember leaders don't develop in isolation. So until next time, lead well and learn from others.